was a music fan before I was ever a journalist. To me, music is so much more than just entertainment. Music defines communities. It tells stories, it motivates, and it heals. I grew up listening to my mom's records and dreaming of hanging out with musicians. And now, it's my job. This is more than the music. Hey guys, we are heading back to Nashville this week. I'm so excited to bring you to the historic Franklin Theater in Franklin, Tennessee. And then we're gonna head into town and check out Indo Nashville and talk to Robert Earl Keen. Hey guys, we are at the beautiful Franklin Theater in Franklin, Tennessee, and I'm talking to Rodney Crowell today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome to my near hometown.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
We've actually been wanting to shoot in this theater for so long, and this is our first time here.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
I've never been in this room. Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Okay. All right.
So obviously, we want to talk about your new album, Texas. Can you just talk to us about kind of the origins of the album?
Oh, God, that's so interesting in some ways, you know. There are a couple of songs that I wrote back in the 70s, one of which is called Brown and Root, Brown and Root. When I was a kid in high school, I worked summer construction at a Brown and Root, which was bought up by Halliburton. And Steve Earle learned it early on. I think he was doing it on his very first tour, pretty sure. So we talked about, for 25 years, recording that song. And we wound up on Outlaw Cruise, I think it was, and so we finally performed it on a stage together. And then, as luck would have it, he was in Nashville and we got together and recorded the song. So, okay, well, there's one, all right. So I had another song that I'd written in the 70s called Deep in the Heart of Uncertain Texas, kind of in the spirit of how Steve and I teamed up. I had Leanne Womack on that and Ronnie Dunn. Well, Ronnie Dunn and I were talking on the phone about a fundraiser. And I said, by the way, what are you doing? You know, can you come by the studio? And yeah, okay. And Leanne Womack was working on something else. She fell by. And then Mickey Raphael from Willie Nelson's band called me and said, hey, we're in town. I said, where's Willie? He said, he's in the studio. And I said, he's a quarter of a mile away from where I am. So I bopped over to the studio, got him to sing on this track. Okay, well, there's two. Out of the blue, I got an invitation to record with Ringo Starr. You know, it's like once in a lifetime thing. So yeah, okay, yeah, I'm down for that. And in the meantime, I'd written a song called 56 Fury that was, I was looking for a song that Billy Gibbons and I could team up on. And I wrote that song and I sent it off to Billy. I said, what do you think? You know, and he says, killer diller. So you can see what's happening. It just starts to happen that way. And, you know, I've said, and not facetiously, that the album more or less made itself. And there it is, you know?
It's kind of a testament to how the country music world works. It's just everybody happens to be in the same spot and go into the studio and jam it out. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, and everybody's pretty generous with their time. Now, I did, once this started to happen, I had this song, Flatland Hillbillies. I want to reach out, you know, into the Texas artist group there. And Randy Rogers is somebody I'd known for, 10, 15 years. And I said, man, can I just send you this track and you see if there's anything you can add to it? And he said, happy to do so. And it bounced back and it sounded great. And I said, okay. Well, we need to make a video of that. And he said, you need to come down to New Braunfels. He said, I got New Braunfels wired. I said, okay, I'm coming. I got a film crew, but we'll come to New Braunfels and follow your lead. And, you know, I call Randy the mayor of New Braunfels now because, you know, everything he said, I said, well, hey, can you get some skateboard dudes? He said, got them. Really? You know, and just whatever we asked for, he says, got it. I said, well, can we get a train coming by in 20 minutes? Got it. I'm kidding about that.
I was gonna say, that's impressive.
It felt like it, you know, felt like, yeah, well, here comes a train. Let's do something with this train. Okay.
That's awesome. Well, let's check that out, guys.
When Flatland hillbillies, Irish, Cajun, Creole mix. My brother's on a North Shore rig, my sister's on a pole that's slick. Mama takes in people's washing, she was widowed by a pipeline man. We're flatland hillbillies, getting by on what we can. River rats and John boat shrimpers, trouble in our DNA. It wouldn't be the same poet author if we got up and moved away. God forbid we hit the lotto, the chances are we wind up shot. We're flatland hillbillies, getting by on what we've got.
Flatland hillbillies, heathen to the marrow bone, working on your cars and drinking in your bars and running every red light home. Yeah.
Trot line, never skinned an 8-point buck, never had a squirrel meat sandwich,
up in gravy,
and I guess you're just out
and
of
I
luck,
don't mean maybe.
living on the edge of
We ain't
nowhere
going nowhere.
isn't for the faint of heart.
Oh, we're not.
We're flatland hillbillies, waiting on the fire to start. Flatland hillbilly, another other breed apart. Ow!
Welcome back to More Than the Music. This is actually your second album out on your own label. Can you talk to us a little bit about why you decided to start a label and what you guys are doing with it now?
Well, I decided to start a label because I have a manager who thinks in terms of business, which I don't. And he says, hey, you know, you've been around a long time, you know, your fans or whoever they are. You should have your own label. And I said, well, okay.
Fair enough.
I'll have my own label. What do I do? But, you know, I think I'm a little more responsible. Now it's my money, you know. I answer the phone a little more quickly. And you noticed I was on time for this.
That's true.
You know, but, you know, I'm a gentleman. I'm usually on time. I don't like to keep people waiting, and I don't like to be kept waiting. In fact, I don't like to wait.
Yeah.
You know, who does?
If you could collaborate with anybody that you've never had the chance to collaborate with, who would that be?
Are they living?
Doesn't matter, it's hypothetical.
Yeah, it is hypothetical. Oh, gosh. You know, at this point, Kendrick Lamar.
That would be awesome.
Sure would.
I would be.
I'm
here
not
for
even
that.
sure how I could even contribute to anything. He operates at a real high level. To me,
amazing.
he's, you know, this generation's Bob Dylan.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a perfect comparison, I think. If there was one piece of advice you could give to your younger self when you were starting out in music,
To my younger self, oh boy.
what would that be?
Relax, dude. You know, it doesn't matter if they don't like you. You know, they may come to like you sooner or later. And you know what else, young Rodney? They probably did like you. You know, relax. Okay.
Well, Rodney, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate
I
it.
held my microphone very gently, and I think it's all worked out okay.
Should be just fine. It's a Shure SM58, so you could probably throw it at the wall and it'd still be all right.
Yeah, they're good. I'll sing.
We'll break a leg tonight.
Thank you. I'll try that.
When we return, we're talking to Robert Earl Keen. Welcome back to More Than the Music. We're at Indo Nashville talking to Robert Earl Keen today. Robert, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Indo without the window.
Yeah, we're just like in the cave room here. A
Yeah.
record cave.
Lots of music here.
You have been a recording artist for over 30 years. You have 19 albums under your belt. That is amazing. I saw that you guys are doing a 25th anniversary release this November. Can we talk a little bit about that album and how it feels to have something that was so defining for your career come to a 25th anniversary?
We're talking about Bigger Piece of Sky? Is that what we're talking about? Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, sorry.
It was one of my favorite records to ever make because I no longer had a record deal and I didn't have a producer and I had a batch of songs, and I talked to one producer about these songs and he said that he didn't think that these songs were really up to par. So I said, well, I beg to differ, and I went ahead and started looking around, and I was working with a guy named Gary Velletri at a publishing company called Bug Music, and Bug Music wasn't your standard publishing company. It was basically an administration company where they took care of your songs. And so Gary, I was talking to him about my problem, and he said, well, I can produce your record. I said, you can? Have you produced a record for you? He said, no. I said, have you ever, can you play an instrument? He goes, no, I can't play an instrument. I said, well, how do you think you can produce a record? He says, I run a publishing company. You think I hadn't heard a song or two? I said, fair enough, you know. So we got that together, and he brought in just some of the most interesting and highly qualified musicians I'd ever worked with. Besides, he was really good with the music. He really had a really great network of people that were really willing to do things for him because he was just a good guy. And so we brought them all in, and I mean, we had like a really low budget. I'm talking about like $12,000. So we crammed it all together in a few days, and we recorded it in the studio on 16th Avenue that was just one of those old houses, but some of those old houses are really fixed up. This one was really falling down. And it was so fun because everybody was totally willing to put up with the problems, and there wasn't anybody breathing down my neck about, I need to do this, or I need to have a hit, or I need to do it this way. We were basically doing just like what I like to do with all records. We were just really doing the best thing for each song that we would encounter. This is a song, I'd play it for them. We'd sit around in the room, kind of jam a little bit for it, and then go, let's go in the studio and play it. So go in and play it. So we just really did it song by song, and every treatment of every song was really about the song and the lyric and the feel and the theme of the song. So I'd have to say one of my all-time favorite records to make.
More with Robert Earl Keen after this. Welcome back to More Than the Music. Robert Earl Keen, what is your favorite cuss word?
My favorite cuss word. Well, I don't know what really defines cuss words these days. It's pretty broad, isn't it? I'd have to say, sucker. It's one that I'll save until I don't think I'm getting any attention. Yeah.
That one comes out of my mouth often when I'm driving.
Yeah, right. I saw this comedian one time. He says, that word penetrates glass.
Indeed.
He was mentioning but it still works for both.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah, penetrates glass.
So the podcast that you've got going on, Americana Podcast, it's fabulous.
Thanks.
One thing I wanted to ask you about it is, have you interviewed people before, or is this a new thing for you?
I interviewed people, 10 or 15 years ago. I did a couple of things for XM radio, and it was sort of radio style interviewing, and had people in a little studio and play a few songs and talk about that. But it wasn't like this. This is much more about allowing the artists to talk about their past and their music and the other things like you're doing, like what's coming up. But this is much more in depth and a lot more. Our effort is to showcase the artist as much as possible.
You've also got a 20-city Christmas tour coming up. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. I've been doing this Christmas show in this particular format since I'd say 7 or 8 years ago, and it was because I have this Christmas song and I've been playing forever. I mostly play it around the holiday season, but it got where we would play, we would get booked a lot in December. I mean, I used to make this joke about I was the Jimmy Buffett of December, because I would play to all these places, and truly people would come and they would just sit there and drink their cocktail and talk to their friends. It was obvious that people really just were there for pretty much the one song, which is pretty weird. But so instead of doing that and just playing the one song, I decided that we just needed to make more of the entire business of playing around Christmas time. So we started with, I broke up the band into one year. I started out doing the band played their own little 15-minute set in front of our set, and they played English madrigals or something like that, green sleeves, stuff like that, and they would play those. And then we morphed into having a theme, and one of the early themes was it's a 70s Christmas, and where everyone dressed up in 70s attire. Everyone picked a different song to play, and one person played Stairway to Heaven, we played Smoke on the Water, we played China Grove, we played all these 70s hits, and that was really fun. And as time went by, we started building this set. So we built this huge set. It's got all these Christmas trees and all the things that you would expect, but also it has a lot of the ingredients that are in the Christmas songs. For instance, we have a huge box of tampons on there, and we have giant packs of cigarettes on there, and just anything else from the Christmas song that we can think of to put on there. And then so every year is a different theme. This year is the theme is called Countdown to Christmas, and it's counting down to Christmas as a tribute to the moon landing in 1969. And we're going to play all the songs, not necessarily from that period, 1969, but however, some of them are going to be there. One of the guys is going to be David Bowie, and he's going to do the Space Odyssey. And so, but we're just doing anything that has to do with space. Like one of the guys is going to do Man in the Moon, the REM song. So we're putting all these songs together, and we practice and rehearse and get these songs down. The songs sound pretty good. So we do that, and then we do a handful of my songs that people really come to hear, and then of course end with the Christmas song and maybe another couple of Christmas kind of type songs. And also last year we had Shiny Ribs, the band Shiny Ribs, open up for several of the shows, and they were so popular that I just said this year on all 20 shows we're going to have Shiny Ribs open up for us. So
awesome.
And they if you've never seen them, they put on an incredible live show. I mean, it's just fantastic playing and singing. That's really cool. So
cool.
So that's pretty much the deal.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Robert Earl Keen, it's been awesome.
Thank you.
Check your
Stacy.
concert listings, check out the Christmas show, and check out Americana Podcast. I had an awesome time talking to Rodney Crowell and Robert Earl Keen this week. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Be sure to pick up their music anywhere you can get music, and check out their tour dates. Those guys are out on the road a lot. We'll see y'all next week.